In this video, I wanted to go over some interactions in PVM that maybe you guys didn't know that's exactly how they worked. There's a lot of things that are confusing about PVM and things you'll learn along the way and go, hold on, wait, that's actually how that works. So let's talk about it in this video. So first of all, did you know that if you have multiple people using the same combat style and then you use a bleed from that combat style on a target, it won't actually stack from across different people? For example, if two people are using magic at a certain boss and then both of you use Combust at the same time, only the most recent cast of Combust will actually stay on the target. You will overwrite the old one with the new one. So basically, if you both use it at the exact same time, one of them is completely wasted. The same of this applies for the Corruption Shot and Corruption Blast abilities as well. And so when PVMing in a group, or even if you're just duoing with a friend, it is actually worth probably trying to time your bleeds in different situations. So maybe you'll communicate it in a way that player 1 will cast bleeds whenever they want to, and then player 2, or you, I guess, would focus on the boss's debuff bar, and as soon as that other person's bleed runs out, that's when you'll cast your own. That way you can get the most out of it, and you know that you're not overriding the other person's. And of course, the other person can't use it again because it'll be on cooldown. Oh, it's probably also worth mentioning as well, though, that if you're using magic and using ranged, you can use both the bleeds. It doesn't matter. If you use Combust and then use Fragmentation Shot on range, these will not override each other. So maybe doing in different combat styles is another option as well. Sticking with the bleeds in RuneScape, you actually don't get any buffs to these from using things like your Sunshine, Death Swiftness, or Berserk. You're also not going to get any increase to the damage from using things like your DPS prayers as well, and a few other things along the way. And of course, bleeds and damage over time effects cannot crit. However, because it cannot be buffed from things like Sunshine and Death Swiftness, it's not really worth using these abilities during your Sunshine and Death Swiftness rotations. So if you are one of the few people not using Necromancy, it is usually not worth using these inside of your DPS ultimates. Focus on other things like your regular basics or thresholds. Obviously, you want to get as many thresholds as you can during the actual rotations in those ultimates, but using bleeds is usually worth waiting until the Sunshine or Death Swiftness or Berserk is actually over. Something that does absolutely stack though is going to be your weapon poisons from pretty much every single source. If you are using things like a weapon poison like potion, and then you're also using Cinderbanes, a Wyvern crossbow, incense sticks, all of these things will stack. The big arrows as well, allowing you to get a hell of a lot more poison damage over time actually applied to the target. So if you are going to be attacking a target that is poisonable, bringing all of these sources to increase the actual poison damage is absolutely worth it, considering it's not much effort to bring these along. Obviously, you may not bring like a Wyvern crossbow with you, because if you're a higher level and you don't want to use that, then you wouldn't bring it. But making sure to have Cinderbanes and weapon poison and not just one or the other will definitely make a decent noticeable difference. Another funny interaction, something that you don't really want to do, is using Greater Chain on magic and then using Smoke Tendrils. These do stack. These will apply the Smoke Tendrils to every target, and you will take damage for every target as well. So it's quite easy to really badly hurt yourself or kill yourself off by doing this as well. So maybe don't do this one. Another interesting interaction is the Bonfire effect to increase your amount of health that you can actually get as a bonus. If you use the Bonfire at War's Retreat after upgrading it, you can increase your health by a certain percentage. However, because it is an actual percentage boost, if you increase your base life points before you actually take this boost, you can get more from this, which will then still last even if you then change your armor afterwards. For example, if you take the Bonfire boost in tank gear, which will give you health bonuses, you will also have that extra health that you gained if you then swap out that gear for DPS gear that gives you no health bonuses whatsoever. So if you do use your Bonfire quite a lot, it might be worth maybe making a banking preset that has the most life boost gear you have on there, and then whenever you load that banking preset, you can use the Bonfire and then swap to your normal gear. This is a small boost, but it's pretty interesting. Very quick interruption. Buy the merch if you're interested. The lamps are back, so check out the link in the description and the pinned comment. Back to the video. Another weird interaction for PVM, but very useful, is if you are going to use resonance, you may think, I need to be careful of anyone else attacking me at the same time. If I'm trying to resonance a big hit from a boss, for example, I don't want to be being attacked from anything else, just in case it snipes my attack. Well, actually, if you time it correctly, which isn't easy because it has to be on tick, you will actually always res the biggest hit, assuming that you can actually use resonance on it. A good example of this is the one you're going to be seeing on screen, and that is at Hellweir. At Hellweir, there's a mechanic that you want to use resonance on because it will give you a nice big heal. However, if you are being attacked by the 2 wolves that he summons, you may actually end up losing your resonance to one of these wolves if not timed correctly. That being said, you don't have to actually kill off all of the wolves before you can use resonance to make sure you get a good heal, because if you do just time it correctly, if you use it on the very last tick, the tick that the damage hits, it will always prioritize the biggest hit, meaning that you can't get sniped from it and you will always heal from that. So if you can time it correctly, you don't overly have to worry. With practice, you can definitely get this consistent, and it does kind of remove a lot of like inconsistencies in a lot of places. Another thing you can take advantage of is actually using Soulsplit on targets that are still invulnerable to attacks. If you can't deal any damage to them, but you can still throw abilities on them, you'll be returned with an immune sort of like hit splat rather than a damaging number. However, if you have Soulsplit available and you do this, your healing is actually calculated before the damages, which is weird, but that's just how it works. Which means that if you throw abilities on things like Zook during a phase, he will be immune to damage, but you can still get healing from this. So you can trap someone behind a rock and then use your bleeds or whatever and any damage onto Zook himself with Soulsplit active and heal yourself up. This can be used in a few other places as well. Another one to keep in mind is that if you are using channeled abilities, throwing a vulnerability bomb will actually cancel it. Now the reason I mention this, because it may be obvious to many people, is that of course a vulnerability bomb doesn't actually take up a global cooldown. You can throw these whenever you want, and it doesn't actually like interrupt using another ability or anything like that. However, it will still interrupt a channeled ability. You can actually still reflect damage to a target even if you use the resonance ability. For example, here you're going to see that I will use resonance, and when the Arc Glacier's cannon hits me, because I have the reflect ability up, I'm going to heal from the cannon, but I'm still going to do reflect damage from that hit to the Arc Glacier. So you don't actually have to take damage to be able to reflect damage back. You can also heal it with resonance as well. I use this in a few places, but I think the Arc Glacier is probably one of the best places to give this example with. Did you know that if you are using Split Soul, which a lot of you guys are going to be doing now because Necro has Split Soul and Ranged is now currently the best in the slot combat style again, so Split Soul on that as well, it's actually more damage from Split Soul if you are using smaller hits. Now, what do I mean by this? Because of diminishing returns on Split Soul, the way this works is you will actually get more damage out of, say, a bleed that ticks at low amounts but more often than you will if you hit a 30k hit. Getting loads of small hits actually gives you a higher return on Split Soul than you would if you are using big hits. Now, this isn't me saying that when you're using Split Soul, you shouldn't actually do any big hits. You should only go for your small ones and just focus on bleeds and all the tiny little basics and stuff. Of course not. Still do as much damage as you can. It's just an interesting thing to know about. If you are going to be doing this, it also applies to healing from Soulsplit as well. If you're needing to get a bit of health back from Soulsplit, you're actually going to heal more if you are using like bleeds on a target and letting it go up that way, because you're going to get more in return from that due to the fact that you're doing lots of smaller hits. On screen is a little bit of an example of how this works using the wiki calculator. As you can see, a 10,000 damage hit from Split Soul will return less in terms of damage than 10 1,000 hits will, and so you'll get more value out of more often hits than you will from just hitting really hard once. There you go. Hopefully you learned something from this video. If you did, leave a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.